Hi, welcome back. In this lesson, we are going to talk a bit about smart contract in general, as well as token contracts. We'll first put away our browser and instead have a short crash course on these two subjects. Before we start on token contracts, let's know a bit more about smart contracts. Smart contracts are just code living on the Ethereum network. This code allows for automatic execution. That means to say, no one has to press a button to say, these codes are automatically executed on the network. These codes are automatically executed on the network without any human interference. Also, the codes are deterministic. That means to say, given millions of computers in the network, all of them will run the code exactly the same way given the same input. Additionally, it is tamper resistant. A piece of code after being deployed onto the network is not allowed to be changed unless the original code explicitly allows for that to happen. Lastly, this tamper-resistant feature allows the entire network to be trustless. We can trust that the smart contract behaves the same way as it has always been, regardless of who is deploying the smart contract. Anyone is able to review the application code and say that they trust the smart contract to behave the way it should be. And that brings us to token contracts. You can imagine token contract as some sort of database where it stores your address as the key, and the value of that key will then be the amount of token that you hold. And anyone can interact with the token contract. One of this interaction will then be to ask, how much token do I have? The token contract will then respond with, you have 5 bar token. And another interaction will be like this. Someone could ask or tell the smart contract to transfer 3 token to another recipient. And then the token can then say, sure, I have done the transfer. Or if the transferor do not have enough balance in his account, the token contract can then throw an exception, or rather an error, to tell the transferor that there is an error and he should relook at his transfer. So essentially, the token contract allows for many questions to be asked. One of them is, how many tokens are there in total? People would like to know what is the total supply of the token distribution. Also, they would like to know how much token do I have? Or rather, how much token does this address have? Additionally, we can also perform simple transactions from a recipient to another. And of course, for the token contract, we allow other people to transfer tokens as well. Let's say, I have purchased a subscription from you. I would like to allow you to take 3 tokens from me every single month. So I allow you to do that, and you can execute this transaction to transfer X amount of token from me to you. And to allow for this kind of transaction to take place, I have to first allow you to transfer up to 3 of this token. Finally, you could also ask, how much can you transfer from me? And these 6 functions happen to form the ERC20 standard. That is the standard form of token contract you see now. In fact, almost all tokens in the Ethereum right now are derivative of the ERC20 standard. In the ERC20 standard, 6 of these functions are clearly defined. In fact, they correspond to the first 6 questions that we have seen just now. The first one being the total supply, that returns you the total unit of tokens that is available. Following which, you also have the function of balance of, where you can input any address and it will tell you the number of token that address has. Also, you are able to execute the transfer function given that you are the owner of the address. You can transfer to another account a given set of token. Additionally, we also allow other people who have been previously given the permission to transfer to execute this function called transfer from. They can then transfer from an account that they do not own to an account that they own, and specifying a value in it. Of course, this transfer from is not entirely unbounded. It has to be first approved by the person who is allowing the transfer to take place. The approver simply have to call approve a third party to spend up to a certain value. So let's say I allow you to spend up to 50 token. You can then execute transfer from to up to 50 token. If you try any value that is above 50 token, the transfer will fail. Finally, you might wonder how many of this token can you transfer? And you can use the function allowance to check how many of this token you can be allowed to transfer. And of course, using the allowance function, you can then get how much of the token are you allowed to transfer. The entire set of ERC20 standard can be found online. Simply search for ERC20 and you can find these 6 functions as well as 2 of the events that are emitted when the functions are called. When a transfer takes place, the transfer will then be emitted. When an approval takes place, the approval event is then emitted. So, what does this standard allow us to do? The ERC20 standard allows us to come up with a common ABI interface that all applications which interface with token contracts can use to interact with the token contract. Over here, this is an example of the ABI interface that we see. Over here, this is part of the ABI interface that we see. This function clearly defines what is the transfer function. You can see that there is a to address, there is a value which specifies how many tokens you can send, and after executing this function, you can have a boolean that tells you whether the transfer has been successful. Finally, let's examine what other standards are there beyond ERC20. Other than ERC20, other standards exist as well. ERC223 is an extension on ERC20. It allows for safer transfer of token and it prevents token to be sent to smart contracts that do not accept those tokens. In fact, to send a ERC223 token to a smart contract, this smart contract has to explicitly allow tokens to be transferred to it. ERC721 is then a separate extension that allows for non-fungible token to be minted. If you have been following the news, CryptoKitties will not be new to you. Non-fungible tokens are used to create applications like CryptoKitties. Essentially, it allows tokens of different value to be minted. Let's take an example. Every Ether is the same. To understand this, let's look at what is a non-fungible token and what is a fungible token. A fungible token is a token that has exactly the same value. That means to say, 1 Ether is the same as any other 1 Ether. And all the Ethers are the same, as with my bar token. However, a non-fungible token can be used to represent different things. For example, an art piece can be represented by a non-fungible token. Every art piece has different value assigned to it, and none of them can be replaced with another art piece. The same applies for CryptoKitties. Every CryptoKitten is different from each other, and they are being valued differently. You cannot swap one CryptoKitten for another CryptoKitten unless both the owner has agreed on the value. And that is non-fungible token for you. And we have come to the end of this lesson. I'll see you in the next lesson where we talk about And we have come to the end of this lesson. I'll see you in the next lesson where we talk a little bit more about the different units in Ethereum. I'll see you there.